where I had 2 beautiful wives and 4 beautiful children. And a dog, of course. It was an Angel the Wonder dog. I can't even remember that little dog's name. She was kind of a sign of the time. She was a sweetheart. Helped me through some harsh moments. One time swam out to me as I'm tubing out in the lake out there, about a half a mile offshore. I see this little head coming towards me. Hearing this dog swam all the way from shore out there a half a mile to be near me. Oh, wow. She'd pretty much give out time she got out there. I somehow got her up on that tube and floated her back to the shore. And when I got back in again, well, she was ready to come right back out there. I wouldn't let her this time. I hollered at her, "You stay," and she did. But that's kind of symbolic of what was going on in that time. I had everything, and it wasn't enough. I could go to these deep, beautiful places with the women I love and who sincerely love me with all their hearts. And it wasn't enough. We couldn't get there. Go figure, huh? So like I said, we ran afoul with the social mores. I was too blatant about. I'm like that. I'm very open and honest and upfront about what I'm doing and when I'm doing it and whom I'm doing it with and all that kind of stuff. I don't hide anything, or I try not to. I imagine I do here and there, because everybody does. But I try not to hide anything. And especially when I was young, like I said, I was pretty danged idealistic. I wanted this world changed, and I wanted it changed now. I'd seen enough of it already. And I hadn't been through... Oh, I'd been through some harsh stuff, but, God, there was more coming. A lot more. I would go through some radical swings in my time in this everyday world. Whew. Lived right on the edge of that, too. On the edge of the mystical world, on the edge of the real world. Just about all my life. Walking that fine line. It's a razor's edge, too, and if you slip a little bit, it can cut you right in two. But it never does. I think that's the illusion. I don't think it ever would cut you in two. It wants you to think that. It wants you to fear it. And it wants you really to see past that fear. And to know why you're alive. And that's what I'm here talking with you about today. When I was young like that, to work for a regular trucking company, you had to be 23 years old. So this year and a half just dovetailed in perfectly, Gave me some time to adjust back into the earth life and get off of that emotional high I'd been on in the movie business. Give me some time to settle back to the ground and know that, the things that mattered in this life were those that loved you and the ones you loved. Even if it wasn't enough, it was plenty. And you could center yourself there. But the social mores ultimately tore the little triplet apart, and it went back to being a duet with my first wife, sweetheart that she is. And she tolerated and put up with a lot of me for a lot of years, baby, I'll tell you. And I didn't have to put up with too much from her. I had it soft and easy by comparison, I'll tell you. God, have I learned a lot since then. Whew. She made it easy for me, though. She provided a soft space where I could kind of center and ground myself, and then expand out into the earth existence and go experience it, But I could always come home and not be misunderstood, at least until the later years, and then it was kind of like we grew apart. But that's not the story of now. Now I'm telling you about the dissatisfaction of youth and what drives people completely berserko, especially those that are rich and successful, because they truthfully do have everything at their fingertips in this material sense and nothing else. They can't even be sure of the partners they sleep with. You know, their whole world is built on a system of distrust, and they've compromised themselves tremendously to get to where they are. But even us little people feel that. You know, because on the other end of the spectrum, you can live a very rich life in this world with no money. It's a secret. The rich people don't want you to know. But they're jealous as hell of you. They'd trade places with you in a minute if real love could come their way. A love they could sink into and trust and not have to worry about. Hell, 99% of the population would. Because very, very few have it. It's like the old Rolling Stones song, can't get no satisfaction. Oh, God, guys. As deep as you can go, as high and as wide as you can fly, and you still can't quite get there. And of course we had our ideals of the time, and we were against the war, and we protested, and, you know, got the FBI or somebody following us around for a while, shit like that. It happens. It was a part of the scene. Tricky Dick was president. It was rough as hell then, I'll tell you. He was a man you loved to hate, I'll tell you, man. But, you know, he did finally let the pressure get to him, and whoever it was behind him decided they could end that war, because if they didn't, they were going to end the country, because it was just going to come apart at the seams. People weren't taking this shit anymore. By comparison, here in 2012, we're apathetic as all get out. We're lazy as hell, because we would never let them get away with this crap back then. The government, I mean, and all these dang wars. Shit. War never solved anything except for corporate profits, bottom line. And feathered a lot of government nets too, and created an even huger bureaucracy and so forth. I mean, that's that world. That's the way it works. It's how it operates. Money of itself encourages corruption. Just does. The very idea that this thing is valued more than that thing, and this person is valued more than that thing, and that people and things can be bought and sold and traded in a barter system called money. I mean, the whole idea is corrupt. A piece of gold is no more valuable than a piece of dirt when it comes right down to it. And a leaf on a tree is far more valuable than any of that. But it comes from the gold, it comes from the dirt, comes from the earth, and therefore all have equal value. Equity in the mother's heart. And no part of this life is neglected, no part of it is ignored. Every part of it is appreciated and loved. Even the parts you're living. Same as me. We're all in this together. And babies, we're going to ascend together. Now it seems like there's a whole group of people here that just ain't smart enough to get it. Well, that's total horseshit and hogwash. Yeah, they look like zombies. They act like zombies. Quite often. But they're here to fill in the gaps. They produce their share, and therefore they get their rewards too. I mean, not everyone can take a life that's difficult and challenging. Some people just need to coast on through. I mean, it's hard enough just doing that because it's such a numb and dead world, and it drives them berserko. Oh, man. The images that just flashed across my mind are almost too much to take. because berserko means berserko, and some people really go over the edge. And they don't mean to be that way, but it happens. You know, you go so far, and there you are off on the deep end, man. But we're here to pull them all back, help them all through, including the zombie-like ones too. In a way, they're really precious souls and hearts and very brave in their own right, because, I mean, who can take a life like that? Man, the drudgery of it. Oh, you better have your little moments of joy, and you better have a lot of them, but they don't get too many, dang it. Not till now, anyway. You see, just like back then, I had to, like, you know, readjust myself. First, totally into the hippie life for a while, because I needed to be that. You know, I just couldn't do the business thing anymore. I couldn't do the workaday world anymore. I needed to be that hippie dude for a while. But I had these women and these children that needed to eat and so forth, so I did sell myself short here and there to get what I needed. And that's the motivation that gets you into trucking. Because, you know, I did it pretty well already, and my old man said to me when I was getting these offers out of L.A. and not too sure about going down there and taking them because I thought that place would eat me alive, he just told me, he says, look, why don't you just put this movie business away for a while and go drive truck. You make good money, you're good at it, you're not going to kill anybody. I mean, you know, you can make a living. Then it's something you might enjoy. Oh, geez. Man, did I ever make a living out of it. Wow. But it paid off. You know, I got myself and my family in a little more comfortable home, and things kind of took off. And I still had this basic dissatisfaction with life. So this gave me a vehicle, a means to go out and explore the world and see what else there might be for me out there, you know. And I mean, there were no limits as far as my old lady and I were concerned. It was like, do what you gotta do. Live how you gotta be. Because that's what you are. And I love you for it. And it worked. And we had a ball. So now we're going to talk about expansion, because that's essentially what trucking was to me. An expansion from my home base outward. And a whole new experience and a whole new paradigm. And that's what we're going to talk about here next, because that's what it is. And that's what's happening.